Imagine you're halfway through dinner. The meat tastes good. You've already eaten several bites. Then someone tells you what it is. Dog. For most people in America, the meal changes instantly. Nothing on the plate changed. Same smell, same texture, same taste. Only the animal changed. Now replace dog with pig. Suddenly, everything feels normal again. Except pigs can learn, remember individuals, explore their environment, solve problems, and form social relationships. So if intelligence separates pets from food, pigs create a problem. If personality separates them, pigs create another one. A dog gets a name, a bed, and toys. A pig becomes bacon. Why? There should be some obvious biological difference between the animals we love and the animals we eat. But every obvious explanation starts falling apart as soon as you test it. Watch pigs in an unfamiliar environment, and they investigate almost everything. They push objects with their snouts. They search for food. They learn routines. They recognize familiar individuals. They play. Dogs do many of those things too. That doesn't make pigs dogs, but it does destroy one easy explanation. We didn't put dogs in our homes because they have minds, and pigs on farms because they don't. The difference may have started somewhere much simpler. Dogs became useful companions, guards, hunters, and workers. Pigs became useful livestock. Those practical roles lasted for generations, and eventually they stopped feeling like roles. Dog became friend. Pig became food. But if those categories were somehow natural, humans everywhere should have drawn roughly the same lines. They didn't. Take a horse. For many Americans, horse meat feels strange. The animal is ridden, groomed, named, and sometimes treated almost like a pet. But horse meat has long been eaten in other parts of the world. The horse didn't become less intelligent when it crossed a border. Humans changed its category. Rabbit creates the same problem. One child grows up with a rabbit that has a name. Another grows up where rabbit is dinner. And guinea pigs make the contradiction even sharper. In many American homes, they belong in pet stores and children's bedrooms. In parts of the Andes, they have a long history as food. Same species, different culture, different reaction. So maybe the important question isn't, what kind of animal is this? Maybe it's, what were you taught this animal was for? Because those lessons begin incredibly early. A child rarely needs someone to explain the rules. The dog in the story has a name. The cow stands on a farm. Chicken appears as nuggets. The rat is something you want out of the house. Slowly, the categories become automatic. Dog, pet, chicken, food, rat, pest, lion, wild, and language makes the separation even easier. We rarely say we're eating cow. We eat beef. We don't order pig. We order pork. The animal disappears behind the product. Now compare two phrases. Grilled chicken, grilled golden retriever. The second one immediately produces something the first often doesn't. A face, an individual, maybe even a dog, you know. But here's the important part. Culture didn't randomly choose every animal on the menu. Before these categories became emotional, there was a practical reason some species entered our food systems and others didn't. Imagine trying to farm wolves for meat. First, you need to feed the wolves, and wolves eat other animals. So now you need to raise one group of animals just to feed the animal you eventually plan to eat. Herbivores make far more sense. Cattle can turn grasses humans cannot digest into food. Sheep and goats can use difficult landscapes. Pigs grow relatively quickly and eat a broad diet. Chickens reproduce fast and can be raised in large numbers. Over generations, humans built farms, markets, recipes, and entire industries around animals that were practical to keep and reproduce. Then the system started reinforcing itself. People ate chickens because farmers raised chickens. Farmers raised chickens because people bought chickens. Children grew up seeing chicken as food because their parents already did. Practicality created the system. History preserved it, and culture eventually made it feel natural. But then something even stranger happened. Once the categories existed, they began changing how we saw the animals inside them. A dog runs toward a person. Affectionate. A pig does something similar. Livestock behavior. A dog learns something. Clever. A pig solves a problem. Interesting, but still a pig. The category changes the interpretation. Psychologists studying what is often called the meat paradox look at a related conflict. People can care about animals and still eat animals. Most of the time, those ideas remain separated. A burger doesn't look much like a cow. A nugget doesn't look much like a chicken. But reconnect the food to the animal, and that distance shrinks. Give the animal a face, a name, show its personality. Suddenly thinking about it only as food can become harder, and rabbits show just how dramatically that category can move. During the Second World War, meat shortages made rabbits useful in Britain and the United States. They were small. They reproduced quickly. Families could raise them with relatively little space. Rabbit was food. Then the surrounding world changed. Other meats became easier to obtain. Food production industrialized, and rabbits increasingly entered homes and childhood culture as pets and characters. Within a few generations, an animal that had been ordinary dinner for some families could produce a very different reaction. The rabbit hadn't changed. Its nutritional value hadn't disappeared. Its mind hadn't suddenly become more complex. Its cultural role changed. And that reveals something important. The boundary between pet and food isn't fixed. Humans can move it, sometimes far enough that the old category begins to feel disgusting. Imagine eating a rat. For many people, the answer arrives before the thought does. No. Now imagine a guinea pig. Some people have almost the same reaction. Millions of others don't. That's what makes disgust so revealing. It feels like your body is discovering an objective fact. Don't eat that. But cultures disagree constantly about which animals trigger that reaction. What appeared on your childhood table matters. What appeared in the pet store matters. What appeared in stories matters. A meal that feels completely ordinary to you can look impossible to someone raised somewhere else. And their normal dinner can do the same to you. The animal may not have changed at all. The observer did. Now go back to the restaurant. There is meat on your plate. Then someone gives it a name. Cow. For many Americans, fine. Pig, fine. Rabbit. Now the room starts dividing. Horse. More people stop. Guinea pig. The answer depends heavily on where you grew up. Dog. For many people, dinner's over. Notice what changed. Not the plate, a word. But inside that word is an entire history, childhood, pets, farms, stories, tradition, industry, disgust, affection. We keep looking for one biological rule, separating the animals. We love from the animals we eat. Intelligence doesn't draw it cleanly. Neither does personality. Neither does social behavior. The real boundary was built in layers. Practicality helped put certain animals into our food systems. History kept them there. Culture taught the categories to the next generation. And eventually those categories became so familiar that they started feeling like facts about the animals themselves. That's why a dog beside your chair and a pig on your plate can feel completely different. Friend, food, the difference feels obvious. But the animals never drew that line. We did.